Nobita, a young kid who was scared of almost everything, was known for his timid nature. He feared spiders, the dark, and even talking to people. At school, he was always bullied by a big fat boy named John. Nobita never dared to complain because John always threatened him, saying, "If you tell the teacher, the next day I'll beat you so bad." One night, Nobita was sleeping peacefully in his bed when he suddenly woke up. To his shock, he saw John standing right in front of his bed. Terrified, Nobita couldn't even scream. Instead, he pulled the bed sheet over his head, trying to hide his fear. He closed his eyes and hoped it was just a nightmare. But when he opened his eyes again, John was still there, staring down at him. This time, Nobita couldn't hold back his fear. Tears filled his eyes as he shouted, "Mom, please help." John sneered, "Nobita, come face me. There's no one to save you, and this is the only option." Shaking with fear, Nobita slowly got up from his bed and walked towards John. John grinned, "Hit me if you can." Nobita's hands trembled as he swung a slow punch at John. John easily dodged it and laughed, too slow. He taunted, "You're a useless kid. You're not strong at all. You're worse than a dog. Even a dog would bark back at me. You can't even shout." Something snapped inside Nobita. For the first time, Nobita was so furious. With all his frustration and anger, he threw another punch this time, and it connected. John flew and fell down on the ground. Nobita's fear melted away. He had done it. He had finally stood up to John. But just as quickly, Nobita woke up in his bed, his heart racing. He realized it had all been a dream. But somehow, he felt different. For the first time, he didn't feel afraid of John anymore. The next day at school, John tried to bully Nobita again. But this time, something was different. Nobita, full of confidence, punched John hard, knocking him down. Everyone around them gasped in shock. A teacher who witnessed the scene from far ignored and left. But later, he called Nobita to his room. The teacher said, "I saw what you did, and it wasn't right. But I think you've overcome your fear, and that's good. Remember, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Your change is definitely a good one, but always use your strength only when necessary. If anyone bullies you again, go to an adult, tell me or your parents. Violence should always be the last option. This is your last warning." "Understood." Nobita nodded and said, "Understood, sir." Teacher again strongly said, "Remember, violence should always be the last option." As he left the teacher's office, Nobita felt lighter, like a weight had been lifted off his shoulders. He overcame his fear, stood up for himself, and also learned something valuable. Today was the best day Nobita had had in a long time.